do you deal with pressure and stress and all that before a show, or do you get stressed and feel under pressure?
I take Calgon baths. No, I'm joking. It's a joke. I don't deal with pressure too well. I go off my diet. I smoke twice as many cigarettes, and I sometimes get a little angry, rude. But I don't think I deal with it so well.
He was a little bit. Mark was getting a little bit out of control there. In hindsight, you see the psychology twisting. You see the shows becoming more and more, not frantic, but confrontational. It was a fairly major moment, I think, for Mark, for a show to run 2 hours late and to have that audience waiting for it. People like Catherine Deneuve and Kanye West and Sofia Coppola. There was a little bit of a fuck you quality to it, I thought. Mr. Arnaud, after sitting there for, really a long, long time, he pecks at his phone, and then seconds later, the lights come down and the show starts.
I think when a designer expects his audience to wait 2 hours, unacceptable, ill-mannered, and totally arrogant.
All these people who need to rush home to their family, I say they shouldn't come to fashion shows. They should retire and stay home. Fuck them. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm shameless and fearless.
I think what fashion was seeing across the board at this point is its Wunderkinder acting up.
The only opinion that matters about me is my own. And that's it.
They'd been so indulged for so long that everything had become a little bit screwy. You did feel a reckoning coming. Fashion was kind of capturing something in the air.
Bernard Arnault, un prince du luxe, aujourd'hui sacré roi des affaires. Il possède le premier groupe mondial de luxe, LVMH. Il est maintenant l'homme le plus riche de France. Sa fortune dépasserait les 14 milliards d'euros.
Stephen Robinson was John's right-hand man. That's how we knew him in the business, John's right-hand man. John was the one who would give you a smile, and Stephen was the one that did not. It was this. And so you never knew if he liked you or not.
Stephen was there right at the beginning. I mean, he came as a student placement, counting buttons, and then worked his way through, and then became my right-hand man. Stephen and I started this adventure when things weren't working out, and Stephen believed in me. And together, we left London, didn't have any money. Don't know how we got to Paris, we did. And we slept on friends' floors, and as long as I could see the moonlight, I was happy.
Stephen Robinson became a wall around John, right? So everything had to pass through Stephen to get to John. So John really lost contact with the outside world.
Stephen took a lot of cocaine. So one day, he went home for a vacation. He just hoovered up massive amounts of cocaine in a very short time by himself at home. And he suffered a massive heart attack and died. John was destroyed.
That kind of loss must have been devastating for him and just must have been really difficult to process. The questions I would hear people go, will he be okay? Will he be able to design?
How hard is it going on now without Stephen around?
Very. You know, yeah, it's very, very hard.
I mean, we all saw the transition happening, and it was never nice to see him in the state of, you know, pain. Obviously, there was pain there. He lost someone that meant a lot to him.
I just remember Anna telling me, I have a meeting with Mr. Arnault, and he's basically asked me to come in and talk to John about what he's doing. I just had this impression that any moment John might have gone off the rails, but rather than trying to control him internally, they would call Anna, and Anna would do whatever she does.
This world I live in, this fashion world I live in, is so unrelated to what's going on around the world. So what I try to do is take parts of the world people don't want to see and bring it to them.
When we walked in, the auditorium was lit in this hellish red. Huge pile of rubbish from the detritus of his old shows. So it was a comment on waste. You could look at it that way. It was a comment on environmental degradation.
By nature, I'm a very melancholic person, so I like to see the good and also the bad in things, because life is like that. I don't like to put a smoke screen over everything you do to make the world look a prettier place, because it's not.
Fashion is the second most polluting industry in the world, and people are buying massively more than they did 15 years ago.
Obviously, we're very aware, as other industries are, that we have been at fault, and what can we do in the relatively short amount of time we have to course correct.
So it's an urgency for you?
It's an urgency for everybody within the industry.
I feel like he was often putting the fashion world in an uncomfortable position to confront itself. The fact that so much of fashion nowadays is thrown away, is disposable. 3/4, they think, of the 80 to 100 billion garments made every year. So literally tens of billions of garments end up in landfill. Fast fashion is just a disposable attitude to fashion. It's an idea that fashion should be cheap and that shouldn't last a long time. We should be buying and buying and buying a lot, and that's why it's fast, right? Fast production, fast consumption, fast waste.
What the Pinot and the Arnault of the world created was desirability. By becoming so big and so powerful, they obtained more visibilities, and all the stores around the world and all those ads in the magazines around the world created aspiration and desirability. The real problem is the level of consumption. and that it's gone out of control. If a pair of jeans costs less than a coffee, and so it's less costly to throw it away than to wash it, it's obviously not okay. But also, it's the human cost. It's the human right.
6 people are now under arrest in Bangladesh in connection with a building collapse on Wednesday that killed hundreds of garment workers.
On Tuesday, police inspected cracks in the building, which housed 5 clothing manufacturers. Survivors say their bosses told them to keep working.
Most consumers, even though they claim that they care, it's something that is done over there. They never see it. If you ever go into a factory where sneakers are made and you see and smell the gases that they emit from all that rubber and different machines that they use to make a sneaker, you would never wear another pair of sneakers again.
Western retailers have openly criticized the factories for unsafe working conditions, but continue to place orders.
In this last 30 years of growth of the luxury industry, it has now sacrificed humanity and the planet for the sake of profit. McQueen was disgusted by this, and he felt like he needed to make a statement about it. So he steps back and he just looks at how all this fashion, consumption, production, money, glitz, glamour, advertising, magazines, fashion shoots, stores, all this fits into the bigger picture that is the world today.
The creation was coming from inside his heart. So probably he visit some very sensitive areas. For sure, you get something ultra emotional, for sure, and you get something quite unique.
What makes a great fashion designer? Someone with tremendous endurance and focus. You've got to be very careful. You've got to protect yourself. You've got to love what's at the core of the industry, or it will kill you. And even then, it'll kill you.
You became a product with a huge pressure above your head from people expecting things from you. A lot of collections. You sign paper. It's too late. It's been signed. You are agreed. It's too late. You're trapped. And for a wild wolf like him, get trapped means death.
Alexander McQueen, the darling of British fashion, has been found dead after apparently committing suicide. Paramedics were called to the designer's London home this morning, but he was pronounced dead at the scene.
I think that he had had enough. And then his mother died. And I think it was all just enough.
The last time I saw him, he just seemed in a really good mood that day, and that was the day before. And up until then, he was like a shadow of himself. And on that day, it just seemed like everything had been lifted for some reason. Maybe it was just a thought that, you know, it'd all be over soon.
Understood. That loneliness, that pain, we're in such perfection, we're setting that bar impossibly high. We don't understand why we're doing it, and people say, wow, how are you going to top that? And we're like, well, yeah, we're going to, don't worry. That's what, you know, makes us wake up in the morning. I was very sad.
I think Galliano is really the incarnation of Dior today. And is the reason why it fits so well with the house of Dior.
The way I look is usually the end of the creative process because I live it.
Right.
I breathe it, I become it, I'm drawing by candlelight. There's a narrative, the models are my silent movie actresses, the script is their clothes.
And do you think it's important for a brand like this to have such a showman at
I think the key of success in a brand so famous as Dior, it's key to have such level of creativity and inventiveness, yes.
Sometimes I was acting like God. I was a fully functioning addict. It started cyclically. After each collection, after each creative high, there'd be this crash. But of course, with the increase of collection, that cycle became faster and faster and faster, where there was like a collection every 4 weeks.
You're on such a high and everything is such a fast pace. Remember, all these creative minds are coming together to create something. The dress is taking 2 to 3 months or maybe sometimes longer just to create. For a 20-minute show, I mean, that adrenaline is just like, it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes, and then Fashion Week is over with. And then you go through the blues afterwards. It becomes very gloomy, actually.
It was getting worse and worse, and I was mixing alcohol with benzos. By then, I was a slave to alcohol. Then I would take the Valium to stop the shaking so I could do the fittings, and then the sleeping pills so that I could sleep. My life became unmanageable.
We have a situation where John has a problem, alcohol, I suggest, but nothing is being done about it. He needed looking after. He was crying for help.
When designers start to misbehave to the point where both sides of the relationship are getting a little, maybe the designer's not getting what he wants, and certainly the businessmen are a little tired of the whole situation too. Sometimes letting things fizzle out in the most unexpected ways might be a blessing in disguise for some people. Look what happened to John Galliano at Dior.
Ah, yes, you're too much.
Could it have been avoided? I think so. I do.
He had rung me saying that he was really frightened. He was being asked to work so hard. He said, "Help me, Amanda."
Only beautiful people.
It's not good.
No, I'm sorry.
Are you blonde? Are you blonde with
No,
blue
but I
eyes?
love Hitler.
See?
People like you would be dead
Yeah.
today. Your mothers, your forefathers would be fucking gassed and fucking dead.
Oh my God. Do you have a problem?
With you? Yeah, I'm
With all people.
On Thursday evening, John Galliano was arrested for the suspected verbal abuse of a female customer.
The British fashion designer John Galliano has been sacked by his employers, Dior.
Le choc. 24 février 2011, Galliano est interpellé dans le 3e arrondissement de Paris pour insulte à caractère racial. 8 septembre 2011, Galliano est reconnu coupable.
C'est la star du milieu des affaires et désormais la 4e plus grosse fortune du monde. Bernard Arnault, le patron de LVMH, est insatiable. Avec plus de 29 milliards d'euros, la fortune du Français est en hausse de 45%.
What happened to the four designers, like Tom Ford, John Galliano, Lee McQueen, and Marc Jacobs, is an incredible coda. There is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And it's so dramatic that each of those ends is dramatic. Tom deposed, Lee dead, John, career suicide, and Mark in a kind of limbo.
We all dress to show the world what we want them to see, and the knowing demi-monde of Paris has always been coolly dressed in black. So when we tried to think about what we were going to do for the set, I just said, let's use bits of the sets from the past and just make them black. I mean, just all black.
It was probably one of the most difficult things to achieve that I have ever done. I bought every single peacock feather in Europe, and they were all coming in trucks from different places. Every hat workroom in Paris I knew of was working on them. I hadn't been to bed for 2 days, so I could barely stand up. Mark and I were just standing next to each other. He turned to me and said, "This is my last show for Vuitton, I'm leaving." We were like, oh my God. He knew, but he hadn't told anybody. He wanted to do the show and then leave. It's not like he wanted to make this big drama out of it. We were all very sad, and it was a very emotional time. I think we all burst into tears, of course. It's fashion.
Felt very emotional to me.
Did it?
For me,
it didn't feel like so emotional to me. Well, I mean, it's always emotional to me, and it's emotional to all of us because we put our heart and soul into it. That's why we do it. We love fashion.
Superstar designers, I think, were absolutely crucial to a particular phase of the luxury industry, which was building it up from becoming a name to becoming a brand. But once they had become real brands, they were businesses. And therefore, you can find people to work in that business who have creativity, but who are a bit less larger than life than some of these designers were at the time.
We love you, man. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye, Mr. Jacobs. Bye-bye. Sorry.
In the end, the tycoons, the gods, in a sense, overlooking this kingdom, reigned omnipotent. And their princes, they treated them very well. They gave them all the riches. They gave them everything that they ever wanted or desired. But when it was time for them to go, or they cracked up and fell on their own, they were gone. The tycoons, the gods, they were the untouchables. None of this sad, dirty side of fashion, luxury, dirtied them.
Actually, before I went to rehab, I did try to reach out to them, but my calls were not accepted. Quite recently, I tried to reach out as well, but the message I got was that perhaps it was too early.
In the age of globalization and hyper-capitalism, the luxury fashion business grew into a monster of a business, just gigantic, in a way that I don't even think Bernard Arnault could have originally imagined. Greed and envy are what drive the fashion tycoons in the kingdom of dreams, who whip up this exaggerated, unattainable idea of glamour and beauty. What they sell you is a marketing dream of beauty, of hand craftsmanship, of the finest materials, of the most glorious designs. It reminds me a lot of the Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz. It just looks like this glittering, glamorous, beautiful place made of emeralds and sparkle. And then in the end, there's a man behind the curtain with a machine turning on the sparkle. And it's all just smoke and mirrors, that's what it is.